first point we will be discussing is a motion to appoint another scrutineer. We will need Andre's help, and we did not include him in the first appointment of the scrutineer's motion, so he has to be voted upon. I will read the motion. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly appoints Andre Bengis, from Spain, as scrutineer for the 62nd EPSA General Assembly. I open the floor for discussion on this motion. I don't see points being raised. Joseph with the technical.
Madam President, I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you. Then we'll move on to voting on the motion as it reads. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly appoints Andre Bengis, from Spain, as scrutineer for the 62nd EPSA General Assembly. I will ask if there are any votes against. Any abstentions? And who votes for? Okay, you can lower your voting cards. I have 24 votes for, none against, and no abstentions. So the motion was carried unanimously, and we can thank Andre for being our scrutineer for this session. We'll move on with the agenda. Next we have the handbook changes to approve, and we will start with the EPSA Executive Handbook. Can you please put your motion in? The 62nd EPSA General Assembly approves the changes of the Executive Handbook proposed by the Executive. I ask that the changes are shown on the screen, and I open the floor for discussion on the motion. I ask if anyone has any questions or comments they wish to make under this handbook. Joseph with the technical.
Madam President, I close the floor for discussion.
Thank you, Joseph. Then we'll move on to voting on the motion as it reads. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly approves the changes of the Executive Handbook proposed by the Executive. I will ask if there are any votes against. Any abstentions? I will ask again the voting procedure because there were voting cards being raised, and if you are raising your voting card, please make sure to do it high in the air. I will ask if there are any votes against. Any abstentions? And who votes for? You can lower your voting card. We have 24 votes for, none against, and no abstentions, so the motion was carried unanimously. The changes were approved. I have a technical from Joseph.
Madam President, we would like to propose to vote on the changes to the handbooks in law. As there have been no discussions during the meetings, are you okay? Not okay? To vote on this together for all the changes to all the handbooks in one motion, not separately every handbook as separate motions.
Okay, thank you. Then it will just be 1 minute for me to change the presentation. Okay, sorry for the time you had to wait for. I will read the motion that will vote on the handbook, the changes on the handbook. The 62nd EPSA General Assembly approves the changes proposed by the EPSA executive to the following handbooks: EPSA Coordinators Handbook, LS Handbook and its annexes, Events Handbook and its annexes, EPSA House Handbook, Reports Handbook, EPSA Training Project Handbook, EPSA Library Handbook, Public Relations Handbook and its annexes, Alumni Project Handbook, and Advocacy Platform Handbook. It's missing Twinnet and Archives Handbook because those will be voted on separately because they are not changes, they are new handbooks. I open the floor for discussion on this motion. I have a new point from Annexes.
Théo de France, that just a remark on the grammatical things. On the LS Handbook, Chapter 4, EPSA Project and Activities, 2 internal. LS1.
Continue your point.
Okay. On Internal Affairs 2.3 Next Generation Chats, you change the aim of these project to this project, so we have to remove the S from project.
Okay.
So,
Thank you. We will note that down, and there's no need to alter it before we change because parliamentary council is allowed, according to TORSO, to correct grammatical errors, so we will make sure to correct it. Are there any new points on this motion? Oh, yes, I have a new point from KNTSB.
Jason Kempish with Netherlands. I had a question about the report handbook. What happens to the CIMP of the previous members? Now there's no CIMP. Sorry.
There was a technical issue. You need to speak a little louder, please.
Okay. It's chapter 3.6.
Chapter 3? Oh, I missed it.
I have a direct from Mihai.
Mihai APP, thank you very much for spotting that. Like I was mentioning earlier, there will be a motion coming from the executive to amend all the regulations with the changes discussed and proposed by the General Assembly. I guess you can all see that everywhere IMP is removed except for that, and it goes in line with the acceptance of GA that IMP should be removed from reports handbook. It's just that one is missed, but with the motion we will be able to change it anyway. But thank you for spotting.
Thank you, Mihai. I have a new point from KNTSB, the Netherlands.
Jason Kempish with Netherlands. What should happen if a position isn't filled by the end of the mandate? So will that mean the team member will not get a feedback?
There is a technical issue. Could you repeat the question?
So.
Oh no, okay. Then, sorry, I said it wrong. Marlene, with a clarification.
But in this section, are you still talking about that sentence or some else, like some other change?
KMPSV.
Jason KPSV Netherlands. I'm talking about we want to add the acceptance of this report indicates that the handover has been delivered sufficient as deemed by the incoming team member. I'm not sure where it is. Yeah. So what happens if the position isn't filled? So there's no incoming team member.
Thank you, KMPSV. I have a direct from Mihai.
Mihai PP, in that case, it is up to the executive to decide on a case-by-case basis. They can still accept the report, the team fund can still be issued, and then if you start the new team, you also have two discussions. First of all executive members need to be able to, like, by Torso, they need to be available for questions 1 year after the mandate. So the executive is still close to the newly elected people first. And second, let's assume that someone gets the team fund and then does not deliver the handover. We have position-specific handover guidelines. We have a lot of mechanisms in EPSA to ensure that handover is still provided. There will be someone else, like a previous position holder, that could do it. The VP could do it. There are a lot of options. This is just, like, here we clarify the mechanism that was already used to give, like, to be able to take away team fund from members that are not delivering a handover. And trust me, that is only used in extreme cases.
Thank you. Then I have a new point from Czechoslovakia, Slovenia.
Sanja Czechoslovakia, we have a question about alumni project handbook, about the point with the EPSA trainer becoming alumnus. So we are just wondering what's the reason, because EPSA trainer could become alumnus before with 6 hours of trainings, and now with the retired trainer status, it has to be like 20 hours of trainings. So we would just like to know what's the reason for this change.
Thank you. I have a direct from Max.
Max Woody, training coordinator. So with the integration of the EPSA training project handbook that we accepted last year, we have officially the trainer statutes defined, and any trainer who joins the project can retire at some point when they don't want to deliver anymore. So that's when they leave the project, and then they can become alumnus. So before they are retired trainer, they're still active, so they're still active in the association, so they're not alumnus.
Thank you, Max. Do I have a direct from Joseph?
Yes, President. Just to clarify a bit more, there's, for all of the other statues that you can get to the alumni pool, there's the endpoint, like you end in the team. With trainers, there wasn't any endpoint, so theoretically, once they became trainers, they could become alumni as well, which doesn't feel in a spirit of being ended with some kind of position. And therefore, since we have the position of, or the status of retired trainer, we think that this is clarifying the gray area of trainers becoming EPSA alumni. Is it making clear?
Thank you, Joseph. I have a direct from Czechoslovakia, Slovenia.
Sanja Czechoslovakia, but isn't it better to have more trainers, so even alumni could be trainers and deliver trainings?
Thank you. I have a direct from Joseph.
Yes, President. I get your point, because sometimes it happens that a team member is a trainer as well, and then they are becoming alumni based on their finished mandate in the team, but they are still are a trainer. This is for people who are not eligible for any other reason to become EPSA alumnus. and that's basically like the endpoint for people who are just trainers.
Thank you, Joseph. Do I have any question regarding this? Okay, if not, we'll move on to the other new points we have. I have Annex and KNTSB. Annex, you can start.
Théo Annette France. We have a question regarding training handbook on the point 1 TNT 1.1 definition. You want to remove the CV and motivation letter and choose the criteria before the opening call. Can you elaborate on it and the purpose of this?
Thank you. I have a direct from Max, but let's just project it first.
Can you tell me again
TNT point 1.1 definition. Yeah.
Thank you. Now that direct from Max.
Max Willie, training coordinator. So in the past, the people, the TNT participants were elected based on the motivation letter and the CV, which was very, like they were free to do whatever they want within there. But since we had the last TNT, we wanted to have a change in the election process and to actually select some criteria where we want to choose the best people possible to become trainers to contribute to the project. So now there is no motivation letter anymore, but it's like a form where you have a few questions which they can answer, and then the trainers can more easily decide who has the better qualities to become a trainer and to contribute to the project.
Thank you, Max. Before we go to the direct, I just have to say that there's an urgent matter, and that Gautier, the chairperson of the annual congress, needs the LS of CDPSA. You have to go back to the hotel.
You can just come with me to
right now?
Yes, it's important. So
We'll have to
we'll do it right.
Joseph?
Joseph, President. So how we will proceed, we will do a quick roll call. So the OD of CDPSA Republic can be excused. We'll take like 5-minute break, and then we'll be back. So everyone is on the same page. Marnie? Wait.
Thank you.
I have AFAP Austria, VPSA Belgium, SUPSA Cyprus, CCPSA Czech Republic, SUB Denmark, ANEC France, PPHD Germany, GPSA Greece, LPSA Latvia, SFD Lithuania, FIPSA Finland delegated to SFD Lithuania, P.N. P.STD the Netherlands, NAPSA Norway, SNAPSN delegated to NAPSA Norway, PPSA Poland, AFIP Portugal, FASFA Romania, SPSA Slovakia, SHISFD Slovenia, NAPSA Serbia delegated to SHISFD Slovenia, FF Spain, ASIP Switzerland, KIPSA International Turkey, and PPSA United Kingdom. I have collected 24 voting cards.
Thank you very much, and I suspend the standing orders. You have 5-minute break.